Welcome back to The Curious Yapper. I'm Madison, your host and favorite yapper. I'm going to give you the recap from the past 2 weeks. I'll do my best to get back into the weekly episodes, but it seems like the 2 weeks is kind of my sweet spot. So, 2 weeks ago, it was a good week. I had said on the last episode that there were some things happening in that week socially that I was excited about, so let's go back to it. Monday was a rainy day, but I did go on a walk with Evan in the rain. Sometimes that's sensory overload for me. That day it was pleasant, so got to go out. Very important for me to move my body in the less sunshine seasons that we are finding ourselves in. I also shared in the previous episode that I felt that I was in a lower season. Evan is very good for me in many ways, but he also sometimes is my mirror, and he says, I feel like you continue to say you're in a low season, so we should think about that. So he said, here's your mirror, and we talked a little bit about all of the things that have gone into the more down feelings, and anyways, I will do my best to work through them, but it's also okay to go through a down season. I am trying to do the small things to help myself in the long run. Getting outside and moving my body in small ways definitely is something that is non-negotiable for me, even when I don't want to. So figure out what works for yourself to help you throughout all life's seasons. The next day was Tuesday. I don't remember what happened. Perhaps I went outside. Not sure. Then the next day was the bingo night that I went to with the meetup. And I also have been in a season of my life where I'm not that interested in drinking. I had mainly had alcoholic drinks socially. And so those are the areas where I would partake in an alcoholic beverage. However, at this bingo night, you have to get a drink to get a bingo card. They had a kombucha option, so that was nice, and I got some little citrusy drink, and it looked just like a beer and whatever, and I got to participate just like everybody else. No one batted their eyes, and I got to do what was best for me. So I went to bingo, and I got to meet one of my game group friends' new girlfriend, and that was fun to get to know her and see what she likes. She's into crafting, and then that sparked a bigger conversation at the table, and people talked about their different interests in crafts. It was a moment where I thought, oh my gosh, maybe some of my real people are here. I've been sharing in different conversations I've had with some of my friends that I do have people here that I get to do things with socially. I don't have any really close people yet. Everyone is just a surface level, let's do an activity together, but none are the deep conversations, here for you through all seasons of life people. You're not going to have that many of those type of friends, in my opinion, that are quality in that way. So I haven't found them yet, but it made me excited that perhaps some of the people that I met on Wednesday with similar interest of games, and they're going to these meetups and then also enjoying crafts, made me excited to say, maybe I will even be brave this year to host a little craft bit with some of these people that I'm meeting at these events. So that was a big deal. 1, that I went, 2, that it was fun, and I was decently social at my end of the table. People are shocked to know that I do not actually recharge with people. So you have your introverts and you have your extroverts, and then there's also something called an ambivert, and that is what I am. So outwardly, people would be shocked to know that I actually recharge as an introvert, and sometimes being with the crowds and all the people is actually very draining for me. And sometimes I'm masking and able to just put on a show. And anyways, I definitely have realized I need my downtime and alone time. And I'm getting more protective of that because it keeps me level and regulated. Whereas when I let that part of me go, I'm very easily overstimulated. So anyways, it was good to see the people at bingo, even though it does take extra effort for me to go and socialize with new people. So anyways, I am excited that maybe some of those people will turn into craft friends and get to do more consistent things with them. Then later that week, I don't remember what I did on Thursday, probably diamond dot a little bit. I'm going to show you my diamond dot masterpiece here in a bit. Then Friday, it was the Traitors finale. I think it actually released on Thursday. I watched it on Friday at my lunch during work from home, and so good. Really enjoyed it. I will not give any spoilers. Just really good. Really great season for sure. Then later that night was my game group color party. So I think I shared on here that this game group means a lot to me. I can't believe that my life changed because I said yes to going to one event and then met one person and then got to meet everybody else. Crazy that I now have that community just because of one saying yes one night when I totally didn't want to. So really excited for that group, and I've been convincing them to do different theme nights, and it's been such a delight. So convinced them back in December, I think, that we should do a color party. So everyone shows their different colors. This was years ago, trend, probably not even TikTok, but back on Instagram, where people choose a color. You bring the food, you show up in that color. So I chose white because I wanted to do a white queso. This queso turned out better than the other ones, guys, so yay that. It was not as delicious as I wanted it to be from someone that comes from Tex-Mex food. Everyone here's like, oh, it's so delicious. So, you know, depending on your audience. So my Texan people, you would have not been impressed, but people up here thought it was delicious. So I brought that, and then I also did Oreo balls, and people really enjoyed those too. And it's really fun to do my little bits of treats and my little items that I know are good. And every time I did Sophia cheesecake bars another time, and they also thought those were delicious. So just really fun. And we got a group picture with all of our colors and the spread, and everyone was dressed in their color. It was just really fun. One of the ladies who I've talked about on here before, but her color was rainbow, and she purchased a rainbow shirt so that she matched, and then she did fruit skewers that were in the rainbow order, and I just really appreciated her commitment to her color. And yeah, we have another group game night on Friday, and we're doing dips. So one of the classic game snacks that my family always did was Ruffles and sour cream and onion dip. And hot take, between my sister and I, we like the Great Value version better than the brand name Dean's. The Great Value version is just more, I don't even know what flavor. Maybe it's less oniony, I'm not sure, but it's delicious. So that's what I'm bringing. We'll see if I stop by Trader Joe's and pick up anything else, but I needed to do the sour cream and onion dip for sure because that's a classic with my sister and I. Then Saturday and Sunday last week were kind of bleh. I don't remember us doing anything spectacular, and it was more of low key. I know sometimes that's good. I've also expressed I'm not always the best at not doing anything. So that was last weekend. But then on Sunday, I was packing for my travel because I was in the Texas office this week. So that takes me to this week being Monday. And I was traveling to Texas, and I got to read some of my book on the plane. I was reading God of the Woods, and I hadn't got very hooked or interested in the book, but then my loan was starting to almost expire, and so then the motivation and the dopamine was hitting, and I said, oh my gosh, this book, I think it was due last Wednesday or Thursday. So on Monday I said, I gotta crank it out. I was maybe only halfway through with, on my phone, still like 350 pages left. So that was nuts. I did make it through maybe 100 or so pages while I was traveling. So that was nice and made me start to move through the book and, you know, start to make some progress on it. Then it was time for the rental car, and my company does National as their number one. That's who we rent cars with. And when I had last gone to Florida in January, there was a colleague that traveled at the same time as me, and he just knows everything about travel. He knows the travel credit cards, he knows the lounges, he knows the rental car and all that. So when we met each other, and when I was peering off to go to the rental car counter, he was leaving to just go grab his car. He said, Madison, you got to do and register for this. So I did. I signed up for their program so that I wouldn't have to wait in line. However, I tried matching my new profile with the reservation number, and it wasn't finding it on the app. So I went and I stood in line so that I could, get it solved, because I didn't think, because I couldn't see it on my app, I wasn't eligible to just walk in. Anyways, because the line was decently lengthy, some lady from the actual car, like the garage, came through the line and she said, is anybody an Emerald member? We can help you. And so there were some of us in that line. I said, I am, but it's not showing on my app. And she said, no problem, I can help you with that. And I said, whoa. So that was really cool. It ended up working out and got to skip that line. So now I'm in and I'm excited for that. And they were so nice. There was a lot of people there. I don't know if it was a heavy travel day or why there were so many representatives there, but it was a nice touch, a nice customer service touch to that. Then on my way to the office, I grabbed Bread Zeppelin, I did a corporate apartment instead of doing a hotel, and I love that. It's so convenient. So I got there, got to freshen up, wash my face, then headed to the office, then got to see people. And I was really excited to see people. At the same time, it was so overstimulating, I think, right after a day of travel. So it didn't feel like I was actually in my body at some points, and then there's so much more noise than normal because I don't actually sit in the row where all the people are in my home office. So it was overstimulating. It was still okay though. Good to see people. I definitely miss the colleagues that are in that office. So it was good to see people, but lots of overstimulation. Then end of the day, got to go on a walk with my friend, and we went to Arbor Hills. I used to go there all the time, so that was fun. Got to chat, got to catch up. Then I did Torchy's for dinner and got some queso, got some tacos, then went to bed. But because Texas is Central Time, I was so exhausted, but my body was not ready to actually go to sleep. So that's unfortunate. I didn't get to just hit the pillow go. And I'm not really sure why, because my body was tired too. My mind was tired, my body was tired. I guess I was more wound up. So that was on Monday. Then Tuesday, it was another day in the office, got to see more people. Then I got the same Bread Zeppelin for lunch. Bread Zeppelin, if you don't know, is they do a salad and then they stuff whatever salad you do. So I got a Cobb salad, and then they stuff it inside a hollowed out baguette. So it's a bread salad, delicious. So if you're in an area where they have Bread Zeppelin, definitely go, delicious. Then after work, I had some time before I needed to leave, and I got to finish more of my book. And so that was nice. And I ended up maybe only having 20 pages when I got back that night. So after that, I met my family at Rodeo Goat, which is a burger place. And that I totally missed. They don't have that here or something like it. But I get a Bodacious burger. So it's a burger with cheese, with bacon, with jalapenos and onion straws. And I think there might be a Chipotle mayo or a barbecue, something delicious. And then of course, delicious sweet potato fries. So that was really yummy. I got to see family. My mom and dad were there first, so we got to catch up a little bit. Then my sister, her husband, and her daughter showed up. So it was a busy night getting to catch up with everybody, and then got to say hi's, catch up, say bye. And then I was back at my place for the night, and I finished my book, and then I went to sleep, and it was a busy day. And I don't know that I would recommend the book, so don't read the book. It took a long time to get interesting, which I keep seeing as a common theme, and the ending wasn't crazy shocking to me, so I don't think it was worth it. But people recommended it to me, so maybe you told me I'm crazy, I don't know. Then the next day, Wednesday, we're halfway through the week. Crazy to the date, that was March 4th, and that was a year exactly to the day when it was my last day in the Texas office before Evan and I started our cross-country travel to move our entire lives from the South to the Pacific Northwest. So crazy that that was a year ago now, and I'm getting close. On the 10th was when we actually landed at our new home. So we're 2 days away from being here for a year. How that happened, it flew by. Then that Wednesday after work, I had friendship sleepover, and that was delightful. We went to Snuffers, got some cheese fries because she had never had them fresh before. So we did Snuffers, and I got a burger, and then we were by Trader Joe's. So went to Trader Joe's, got to see different snacks. She said that there were some protein barbells that she enjoyed, so I tried them because I'd be traveling and it's good for me to have protein in the morning. They're pretty good. We tried a caramel cashew and I tried the cookie dough one. I still have cookies and cream to eat, so that was fun to go to Trader Joe's, pick up some stuff. And then crazy, at Trader Joe's she got flowers, and since I was not at home, I didn't get to get flowers, but that girl I'm the flower girl and she got flowers. We laughed about that. So also when we were on our walk and stuff, I was pointing out flowers and she said, I would have never seen those flowers had you not pointed them. I said, girl, I know. So Trader Joe's. Then I usually have a sweet treat when I'm at home, just part of the evening routine. I was telling Evan I didn't have a sweet treat for a couple of nights. I really wanted something. He said, you need to go to Brahms for me while you're there since we don't have one here. And I was like, yes. So we went to Brahms. I got a scoop of cappuccino chunky chocolate, delicious. And then we made it back to the apartment and we watched Traders, and then it was time for us to go to bed. And then we were talking, and then we kept talking, and then we kept talking, and we're so tired. Then we finally eventually went to sleep, but I didn't go to sleep as quickly because I need noise to go to bed. So when Evan and I get to bed, I'll tell him to turn on his noise. If he's scrolling through videos, I'm like, just turn it on louder, please, so that my brain can be distracted and I don't have to think about anything. Or if I'm going to sleep by myself, I have the Headspace app, and one of my favorite sleepscapes is Drift Off at Denali. So it's some soothing narrator that just talks about Denali National Park in Alaska. They have you do some, like, there's breathing or there's noting different therapeutic, or what's it called? Meditative practices to help your brain kind of shut off, check in with your body and stuff. So that's usually what I do if I'm by myself at night. So I just turn that up loud as can be. I'd be drifting off at Denali with my Headspace app. Anyways, Wednesday, I did not make my friend listen to that. So I was struggling trying to go to bed. I considered putting in a headphone just for myself so that I could drift off, but no, I didn't do that. And Evan said, did you make her listen to Denali? And I said, no, but maybe next time I do make her. Anyways, then the next day, Thursday, went to Chuy's for lunch. One of my colleagues had never been there, and I was like, girl, you gotta go, because I always be raving about dips. So love their queso, love their jalapeno dip. I got some nachos, yum, delicious. And then this threw me. This friend that we had the sleepover with, she was working from home on Friday. So Thursday was our last time to see each other and say goodbye. So I realized the time and I said, hey, I'm about to go to a meeting and you're about to leave, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, this is goodbye. And she surprised me and she said, no, I'm not ready. And then I saw her eyes get watery and then I was gone. And I started crying. I was like, oh my gosh, we can't keep doing this every single time. I feel like every single time it's been like teary goodbye. And I was like, what is going on? And then of course, right after that, I have a meeting. The meeting was with my old manager. And so I walk in and I'm like, just trying to drink my water, trying to whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, okay, I am not trying to be emotional right now, but we just said goodbye and there were some tears. So I need to compose myself. And she said, that's so neat that you guys have that kind of relationship, that it means so much to you guys. And I was like, I know, but like, no more feelings. I don't need feelings right now. I just need to whatever. So that was, it's both feelings. I miss her dearly, and also how cool to have somebody like that. So anyways, that was Thursday. After work, got to hang out with a couple colleagues. We got some queso at Blue Goose, but the main star of the show was Cookie Society cookies, delicious. We had yapped at the Blue Goose restaurant, so we got cookies and we were just like all leaving at the same time. So we didn't eat cookies together. So I didn't eat any cookies that night, and I brought baggies intentionally so that I could bring some home on the plane. Anyways, did my taste testing when I got home, but that Thursday that I was packing, getting ready to, come back home, which I like home. Home is nice. Then Friday was an early morning, getting everything packed, get it loaded in the car. I was in the office for a little bit, then I headed out, said goodbyes, then got to the airport. And when I'm traveling, sometimes I think, I shouldn't get some food because then my tummy is weird. But then I said, it's a whole day and you're not eating anything real. So there was right by the gas station was a Whataburger. So I stopped and got myself a honey butter chicken biscuit and a taquito. The honey butter chicken biscuit was good. The taquito was meh. Then I'm at the airport at the security gate. And I see a really long line. TSA pre-check was long, general boarding was long, and usually, because I was flying American and my company gets me a higher boarding group, that's a technically priority. And I was like, where's the priority line? Because I thought there was a priority line. I saw an arrow and it took me through like a different walkway, and it worked. I skipped the whole line. I was like, yeah, that was nice. Priority laid. I really need to get myself some kind of travel stuff, but got to do priority lane. And then I found a spot where I could stand and go on my laptop because I knew I'd be sitting for hours on the plane. So why would I sit while I'm waiting for the plane? Anyways, I was in my own little world working, and then I put the laptop away, and then I was just listening to an audiobook, and I missed the priority group. I looked up because I was a couple gates down, and then I looked up and it said boarding group 9. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the last group. So then I walk over there, and the TCU lacrosse team was all there traveling. So it was in a priority lane, so I got to skip all of those people just still waiting for boarding group 9. Anyways, got on the plane, got to my seat, got everything situated, and then I was listening to an audiobook because at that bingo night, I met my friend's girlfriend, and she's having a watch party for Project Hail Mary. It's a sci-fi book, but now Ryan Gosling is starring in it and whatever. She's having a watch party for when it comes out in March. And she said if I read the book, I could come to watch the movie, but if I read the book, then she's going to do a fun pre-movie thing at her place, and I could come to that if I read the book. And I was like, friendship and book, sign me up. So I got a trial period for Audible and got to listen to that book, and I ended up finishing it on Friday. It was enjoyable. I don't know if sci-fi is like my exact thing. I don't know if fantasy is my exact thing either, and both of those genres have world building where a lot of it is explaining the world that they're in, and I don't know that that's me. So who knows? Anyways, got to finish that on the plane, and then what's really funny is I'm usually in rows like 20 something or 30 something. This time I was in row 17. And like I missed my boarding group, I don't know what planet I have been on, but I was with Project Hail Mary, so maybe I was in space. And I usually have a lot of time before it's time to deplane. And then all of a sudden I look up and I see that there's 3 rows ahead of me before it's my turn to get off. I hadn't even put all my stuff back in my bag, so I'm like flying, trying to put everything in. That shocked me. So I guess when you're in a higher row or an earlier row, it really does move faster. So my travel experience was quite comical on that adventure. So anyways, that was the plane. Evan was picking me up, but Powell's was right there, so I did a little stroll through Powell's to look at the books. I didn't buy anything. I'm still trying to tell myself I need to read the 3 books that I own that I haven't read before I can go and do a big haul of all these books, because I want to spend money when I purchase my next stuff. So then after that, Evan picked me up. I make it home. I'm napping because I have another game event that night. I went to this pizza place, got to meet some other people. I did feel myself starting to crash and lose energy halfway through. So I played a game called Codenames that I hadn't played before. I'm sure many of you have played Codenames, and it was fun. My first time playing, I was the person giving the clues, which, was not that kind, but hey. Had a good time, got to meet some new people. We'll see if I see them again at some of these other events. And then yesterday, I took some time to read in the morning, but my eyes have been really tense for past 2 weeks, I guess. And so sometimes my eyes are just getting really sleepy or just don't want to stay open. And so I only got to read a little bit this morning before my eyes were done. Then we went on a hike in Portland, and I got to drive by to see if the cherry blossoms were blooming, because I swear I never got to see them last year in like full bloom with everything because I was chasing the blossoms and they didn't exist by the time I got there. Anyways, so now I really want to see them, and I'm scared that they're going to be blooming when I'm not in town. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, we passed by the park that I wanted to go to. They weren't blooming yet, so we keep going. We went on a hike. It was a really good hike and got to go on some paths that I hadn't been on yet. And Evan hadn't been on all of it either before, so that was really cool. Then we got back home and we had Taco Bell for dinner. Got to try, I tried their new street tacos, and that was good. And then we tried the empanadas. Those were not good. And then we watched the new episode of The Pit, so that was fun. Then, today's Sunday. Today, read some more book before my eyes got tired. And then I finished my diamond dot painting. Evan did the calculation. It's 88 dots this way by 124 dots this way, which is over 10,000 dots. Crazy. So anyways, I finished this morning. And I also want to show you my nerdy diamond dot storage. So they're like little Tic Tac cases, and it has the number, so it corresponds to what my painting is supposed to have. But I have been a diamond dotting connoisseur machine, and it's been really fun now that I have that organizational system. And I started a new audiobook because I, with the trial, had another credit. And it's another sci-fi book that one of my colleagues told me to read, but I didn't get into it. It's called Red Rising. I'm maybe a third of the way through right now. Interesting. We'll see if I get hooked. But that person said I'll never guess stuff, and it just keeps changing the plot. And so I like being surprised in books. So we'll see if I enjoy it. If there's a series of it, we'll see how it goes. And then we went on a walk. I got to listen to some audiobook during that as well. And the daffodils are blooming and out, and all this cheery yellow. Spring is coming. It is going to be a rainier week, but I know that spring is coming and the flowers are coming, and it just feels like I'm going to be alive. So I have that to look forward to. We went grocery shopping, got that knocked out. And tonight, good luck to me when I try new recipes, but I saw a meatball sub sandwich. So I'm gonna try to make that tonight. Fingers crossed. That was a long episode, everybody, but that is the last 2 weeks. It was pretty busy, as you can see. I hope that I do some more fun things. I've got some stuff coming up this week, so that's pretty cool. I've got some crafting, then I have games again. So I'm trying to fill my time with joy, because that's what it's about, even though it can coexist with some of the lower emotions. So that's all for me, yappers. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for the yap sesh. Bye.